Hi, and welcome to Cybersecurity Inside. I'm Camille Morhart, and with me is Tom Garrison, co-host of Live from the Green Room. Live from the Green Room is actually something we do where we join a conference and then we grab thought leaders in between the talks that they're giving so that we have a chance to chat with them and delve a little bit deeper into the topics that they're discussing while they're at the conference. Right now, we have with us Nufar Gaspar, who is actually Director of AI Everywhere within the IT department at Intel. Welcome to the podcast, Nufar.
Hi, thank you for having me. Very exciting.
So we're really happy to have you on here. And as Tom said just a few seconds ago, wow, AI everywhere. How actually do you deal with that? What is your goal and what are you actually trying to do?
So I've been working on AI for 12 years and my entire team has been doing that. And we wanted to really bring a lot of the learnings to other across Intel and really scale AI usage and value across the company. And that's when we initiated AI Everywhere. So the name kind of speaks for itself.
Wow, you've been working on AI for 12 years. That just blew my mind. I was thinking of AI as something that's a relatively new workload. So, like, if you don't mind me asking, what were you doing 12 years ago on AI?
So I just completed my master's back then, focusing on optimization and statistics, coming to Intel to work on various AI initiatives for the design groups across Intel. Little known fact that it's been around for quite a while, also in production in corporates for quite a while, but the hype is relatively new. So with that, you're correct.
That's hilarious. So will you give us a sense generally in industry why you think expanding AI within a company can fail? What are some of the key reasons that it doesn't pan out?
So there are quite a few. Many of them, surprisingly, comes to not properly selecting what to work on. I think many cases, people are just kind of excited about the technology and say like, let's go and implement that and not really asking themselves whether it's feasible, the idea that they have, or whether they have all the kind of business knowledge, the background, the agreement with the management that they're working on something that is critical and that there is likelihood to really implement that. So many of the failures can be originated to not properly selecting what to work on. And after that, there are many other reasons, skills and tools and other considerations. But surprisingly, I think many of the failures can be kind of nipped in the bud if you do like a due diligence of the idea that you have and make sure that you really work on something that is going to be feasible and successful enough.
You mentioned that obviously things that fail, but you're in IT now, and part of your charter is to work with various groups around the company to implement AI successfully, so to not fall into those traps you just said. For maybe some of our listeners at other companies that work in IT, what are some of the things that you recommend that they do when they're approaching their teams about AI? What are some things that they should be doing that may be not so obvious?
Right. So first of all, I think a lot of it goes back to training and making sure that people not just learn like the intro to AI course, but rather learn the BKMs and the methodology and how to properly go after exploring a new idea with AI. There are pretty well established methodologies. Some of them have been around for over 20 years. So part of it is education, and we do that a lot. And that is making sure that people work on their ideas properly with the right tools. So that would be one. The other is really to probably find the best roles and responsibilities between the business experts and the AI experts, and find best way to collaborate between the two. If everyone brings to the table what they're best at, business experts learn AI a little bit so they can talk to the AI expert, and the AI expert learn the business to the extent where they're meeting halfway through. A lot of the success or the good things happen when the collaboration is really effective and sharing a common language. And of course, I have many other things, but just what comes to mind, because I give webinars on that, so I can talk about that for 60 minutes. So I'll stop here.
I'm sure. Yeah, lots of opportunity there.
Well, I'm wondering, you've had tremendous success with this AI Everywhere conference that you set up, and it's internal to Intel. And I know we're on a public podcast right now, but I'm wondering if you can, along the lines of Tom's question, what kind of learnings and sort of best known practices did you figure out as you set up this conference that you feel like maybe other companies or organizations could also set up or structure within their groups?
For the setup of a conference, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So when first of all, we never dreamed that the conference is going to be that big. We thought we're going to have like 1 or 2 days and a couple hundred of people, and now we have 4 days and almost 5,000 people. So I can't tell you to dream big, because that's kind of was something that happened in the process. But what we really try to make sure is that we cater for a vast range of skills, whether people are just getting started with AI, but also cater for the practitioners that are experienced. So we make sure that we made sure that we bring diverse content, both from like technical talks of people talking about the work that was already done, but also many tutorials and workshops for this vast range. And also, fortunately, we're able to bring all the top management of Intel to come and share their point of view, and that really helps when you have a lot of support from management that really acknowledge the importance of AI. So with that, I think was the kind of a trend for success, because we got a lot of endorsement from top management, as well as brought together many of the practitioners and the use cases and the learnings that caters for everyone and not just for some part of the audience.
It occurs to me that from a workload standpoint, maybe there are unique characteristics of the AI workload that IT has to deal with, as unique from, standard sort of business process or business infrastructure backend that you would normally expect. Is that true? Does AI introduce unique challenges for IT to be able to support that workload in the environment?
So probably the answer is yes and no, because a lot of the enablers for AI is essentially data. And having good data is not just for AI, it's also for analytics and automation. And actually, a lot of the work that is usually being done by IT is to redesign the business process, really to structure the data. So once that is done, even if it's done for other purposes, usually it will be easier to introduce AI on top of just IT coming and making some organization in the business process and the data in the IT systems. So that's the part where it's similar. The part where it's sometimes different is that, first of all, it's a very high-end technology that sometimes requires even more high-end than other kind of workloads or IT systems. But even more importantly, it requires a lot of kind of faith from the business partners. So it's not just that you can come as an outsider, say, hey, take my algorithm, change everything that you work on, trust it, and go about your day. You really often have to be much more intrusive to the business and to have a much stronger partnership and collaboration, so that they really will be willing to adopt something that sometimes is in between intimidating and them right kind of a transformational or disruptive to the way business is run. So that's the part where it might be a little bit different than just your regular IT work.
We hear a lot about some of the main kind of transformations happening right now between IT and business units out in the world along the lines of automation of tools. What kinds of things are you seeing?
in terms of automation inside Intel, or specifically to AI?
I don't mean specifically within Intel, but just interacting in the industry. Kind of, what are some of the main transformative things that are happening right now between IT and business units?
So I think that many of the IT organizations are focused exactly on the two things that we're talking. That is a digital transformation, but also AI. So we see both of those topics being discussed, sometimes together, sometimes separately. Between the two, in many organizations, IT are the ones bringing the AI to the very edge of the technology. In others, maybe there are some other organizations doing that. Another very big trend that is coming sometimes from IT is the MLOps, ML operations, and that's also a very classical IT thing. That how can you do machine learning or AI at scale and with a low total cost of ownership? So those are a set of best practices and methods and tools to really help you not just solve your problem with AI, but also bring it to production in a sustainable way. So I see a lot of that in the chatter and also in the work being done in many organizations.
So Nufar, I wonder if you could give us just a glimpse into your day now. You got this big 5,000 person conference going on. You're talking to us for a few minutes. Like, where do you go next?
So the conference is behind the scene. It's firefighting and small heart attacks before each session, and a big win once the lights go on and everything seems to be normal. So fortunately, I work with a very kind of a dedicated team, my team and others that volunteered to help, we're kind of just making sure that everything runs smooth from here on. But just today, I delivered a tutorial. Later on, I'm going to deliver like an incubation session where we bring to light some new AI ideas and discuss them. There will be many technical talks happening live. I think some of them are happening as we speak. So it's a very hectic and also everything is happening twice to cater both for the AMRGO and later to the European and Asian region. So a very busy day, but extremely fulfilling as we see more and more people come and join us.
Thank you so much, Nufar Gaspar, who is Director of AI Everywhere for IT at Intel, for joining us. She's also head of this conference, which is this massive internal 5,000 person spanning every geography and multiple time zones. So we pulled her out of her day. I don't even know what time it is in her world right now. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight into what it is to try to structure the expansion of AI across a Fortune 100 company.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Tom.